goodness. All right. Are you recording? Oh my gosh, it just went crazy. All right. All right, we're going to get started with your general warm-up, right? The first exercise I'm going to work on is going to be part of your daily regimen. Every single time you do one of those 28 days of workouts, you're going to start with this general warm-up. I'm going to go through step by step. We're going to start breathing and bracing, right? I'm going to have one of my coaches come out. Her name's Nikki. She's going to help me cover how to do this. So first thing she's going to do is lie down on her back. And we're going to talk about, for a second, where to direct the breath that's going on here. A lot of us have taught ourselves how to breathe up through our chest. And we're going to try to get rid of this kind of breathing and focus it down here in our diaphragm. She's practiced this quite a bit, so she'll notice that as she's breathing in and out, she's going to try to rise and fall as much as possible from here. One way you can test this for yourself is you can place one hand right here and one hand right here and start taking some deep breaths. You may feel that this hand's moving a lot more than your lower hand. What we want to try to do is force this breath down through your diaphragm and get it active. If you breathe up through your chest too much, it activates your sympathetic nervous system, which literally stresses you out while you breathe. Unfortunately, because of a variety of reasons I'm not going to go into now, we as a culture has taught ourselves to breathe that way. We want to try to get back to breathing this way. If you can do this even on your own at bed before you go to bed at night, lie down, close your eyes, start to breathe diaphragmatically for 2 to 3 minutes, you'll relax yourself incredibly. So while we're breathing this way, we're going to close our eyes and chill out. Then we're going to start working on something we call bracing, and this is a way to ensure that the muscles that surround your spine, your whole core, is engaged, and it's going to come into play when we do any number of the exercises that we have during this 28-day challenge. So what Nikki's going to do is she's going to grab the side here and here, and one way you can test this brace on your own, which is kind of, because you want to make sure not only is she not only is she bracing up top here, she's bracing on the sides, and she's also bracing on her back where her spinal erectors go, so it's a 360-degree brace around her spine. Way she can check this, or you at home can check it, is if you force a cough. When she coughs like that, she's going to feel her whole body expand right here in this position. And the idea is to learn how to hit that brace without having to cough, right? And one way that we can help find the brace faster, or help give you some bracing in, because a lot of people have a big curve on the lower back, and it's hard for them to feel that they're bracing into the ground. If she elevates her feet just a little bit and tries to engage and hit that brace right there, that's awesome. She's doing a great job of it. She'll be able to feel the ground here on her sides and on top, and this is awesome bracing. And then what she's going to do is practice breathing behind that wall, right? She's doing good? Solid, super solid and strong, right? Awesome. Let's move on to the next thing. I'm going to demonstrate some wrist prep exercises, and we're going to do this because we're going to spend a lot of time, a lot of these body weight exercises involve putting pressure on your wrists, everything from handstands to push-ups to all kinds of stuff. So a basic warm-up that we're going to work towards is we're going to begin here. Anytime our hands are on the ground, we want to try to spread our paws out as much as possible and have as much surface area touching the ground as you like. And then the first movement we're going to work towards is simply rotating our shoulders over and over again. And if we do this for about 15 to 30 times a piece, it's going to feel pretty good. What I want you to focus on is not bending our arms and trying to get all of this to move without moving our wrists, or without moving our hands rather, right? That's the first part. The second part is we're going to work on some external rotations, and the way I like to think of it is I want to try to move through my shoulder, not through my elbow. So I'm moving all this fun stuff while I step it out. So my arms are locked straight, and I'm externally rotating as far as I can make it. And from here, I already feel a pretty good stretch myself. Some of you may be more flexible, some of you may be less flexible. We find it wherever we want to be. And then just a little pulse. 15 to 20 times, right? Don't want to do it too often. Then we're going to step it back around and come to an internal rotation. Just like so. And the same idea. Make sure our hands, or arms rather, are trying to be locked out straight. And just a little pulse. Then we're going to pivot from here. I'm going to try to come up onto my first knuckle as far as I can. The way I'm going to get there is I'm going to lift my thumbs off first. I'm going to rock my body forward, and you'll notice my left hand is way more flexible than my right. Some of you may be outstanding at this, some of you may not be. You could be here at first, but we're going to try to come forward and come down. You're going to do this for 8 to 10 times, real slow, real smooth. And the last one, maybe one of the hardest ones, is to flip these guys upside down. Like so, and we're going to try to straighten our wrists out. You may have to bring your knees up quite a bit to get into this position, and that's okay. And we're just going to hold it 10, 15, 20 seconds. And for the 2 minutes, that took probably about 60 seconds, so I can run through that one more time to get 2 minutes in. Now the next exercise is neck and shoulder rotations. I'm going to stand up and do it. This is super simple and actually something you should probably do every single day of your life. But we're going to work on trying to build more range of motion in this part of our body. We hold a lot of our tension here because of the way we drive cars, because of the way we sit down, because of the way we play with our phones or video games or computers. So we're going to work on mobilizing that. I'm going to start with my neck first. And what I want to start doing first is super simple. You're just going to nod forward and backwards. Like you're telling someone yes. We do that 10 to 15 times. You're going to look side to side. Same idea, 10 to 15 times. Go tilt your head side to side. And then we can work on these head circles. Full range of motion. Some of you may be scared when we tip back into this. We don't spend a whole lot of time in this range of motion. As long as it doesn't hurt, try to explore it. Oh, wow. And then for the shoulder rotations, we're going to work on rotating our shoulders forward and backward, or backwards and forwards. But I want us to focus on the shoulder itself, moving through this nice big range of motion, rather than using my elbow to get my shoulder to move. So it's almost like I'm going to try to reach up as high as I can and come down and around, right? High as I can and come down and around. High as I can, same way forward. And again, we can work that with both of them at the same time. Forward, backwards, always trying not to let our big limbs move our little shoulders. Forward, backwards sometimes. If you want to go forward with one and backwards with another, kind of messes with your brain, but it's cool, right? And that's neck and shoulder rotations. Now we're going to move on to cat and cow. I'm going to have Nikki join us again. So cat and cow is 100% stolen from yoga. If I'm a physical therapist, I'm going to call this taking your back through extension and flexion. If I'm a yogi, I'm going to say cat and cow. So she's going to arch up and kind of think of it, I'm going to grab her hips a little bit. Think of it for this first one like you're tipping your hips back as far as you can, and then you're going to counteract that, and you're going to tip them as forward as far as you can. The slower and smoother and better you get at this, the stronger and more mobile your back is going to be, right? So she's going real big time through flexion, big time through extension. And she's always, even here, she's practicing on the straight arms that we talked about before. She spread her paws out, her arms are nice and long and straight. So that's cat and cow. You're going to do this for 2 minutes, and it's going to be slow, but it's going to be fantastic. You're going to start to learn things about your body. And from here, she's going to go directly into up dog and down dog. I'm going to talk her through it. She goes into up dog, she's going to drop her hips down, try to relax into this position. I am not much of a yogi person, so I love yoga, but this is not yoga. It is from yoga, but it's not yoga per se. And all I'm looking for is her to let her back relax, rest her shoulders, and maybe look up a little bit if she wants to. Then from here, she's going to send her hips straight up into the air, shift them back, and the most important part of this down dog position that I'm looking for is I want a generally straight line from her wrist all the way up to her hip, right? Now she's got some tight hamstrings, so it's okay to bend here and focus mostly on this tilt and keeping this nice and straight and strong. You want to kind of relax your head and let it chill out through there. Then she's going to go right into dropping those hips down to the ground again and coming right up, right? If you want to turn it into a savasana where you lower into the push-up position and drop in, have at it if you're good at yoga. So that's up dog and down dog, right? All right, now we're going to move on to walking Samson. So we got three more movements left in the general warm-up. I can cut that out. All right, walking Samson stretches. The goal of walking Samson is to take this hip flexor, your hip flexors which are responsible for hinging, and we're going to open them up just a little bit. We don't want to attack it too hard like we're trying to stretch the crap out of it, but we're going to work. So it's similar looking to a lunge, but the goal is not working our quads out. So I'm going to take a big step. I'm going to position this hip extend it as much as I possibly can by squeezing my butt, shifting my hip forward, and you'll feel this pull start to happen. And that's what I'm looking for, right? I don't care about how low your knee gets. I really don't want you to lean backwards at all. I want you stacked nice and good posture. If you need to make this stretch better, if this isn't, there's some of you out there making super stretchy hip flexors, you need to just shift your weight forward just a touch and feel that. You'll feel it open up. If this is tight and strong, and you're squeezing and driving that way, I'm feeling it solid, right? So I would take a step and switch it, and then do the same thing on my right side. And do that for about 2 minutes. Now, lying hip extensions. We're going to lie on our back, and drive our hips up to the ceiling. And then the way I bring my butt down to the ground is going to vary 2 times. So the first time,
I'm going to get extended as far as I can. Again, we're working on opening these hips up, trying to squeeze our glutes really tight. Then as I come back down, the first time I'm going to keep a huge arc in my back where just the top of my butt touches. And then the second time, I'm going to try to roll my spine from my shoulders all the way down. So my hips going through two different movements, not dissimilar to how it did with the cat and cows. Steady and smooth. I'll show you one more time the other way. Good. And the last movement is pigeon. Variety of different skill levels for this movement. The idea is maybe the best way to get into it, if I'm sitting here, is to take my one leg, put it behind me. Some of you may be challenged to even sit into it from here. But the idea is to square my hips forward, so my hips are squared, and then to kind of let my hip flexor and everything sink down to the ground. And it's a passive stretch in that gravity's doing the work. I'm not trying to balance or flex into it. My ultimate goal would be to get my shin parallel or perpendicular with my body and get down as close to the ground as I can get. Right now I'm feeling a fantastic stretch. But again, if I feel pressure in my knee, I'm going to bend this guy back a little bit and still work on getting my hips around. Right? And that's the end of the warm-up.